Welcome to this session on successful Pi system adoption through staff training. My name is Andreas Konstantinidis. I'm an e-learning specialist, part of the customer learning team at OSIsoft, which is also part of customer success. Previously, I worked in higher education for 7 years, teaching instructional design to academics, helping them leverage technology to enhance their students' learning experience in that setting. This lab is a little bit different from our usual labs. It's not a technical, hands-on lab, but I think as an aspect in the project workflow of a Pi system implementation, it's as crucial as some of the other aspects. As customers or potential customers, you've invested a large amount of time and money. You've done your research. You've understood why the Pi system is a valuable addition to your data infrastructure. Therefore, it's important after you acquire the Pi system that the people that are required to use it are adept in using it to the best of their abilities and utilizing all the different features that the system includes. To achieve that, you must ensure your colleagues are adequately trained, supported, and aware of any additional learning or community engagement opportunities that are available either internally or through OSIsoft and its partners. So the aim of this lab is to help you improve that time to value when adopting the Pi system through better training, through more effective and efficient training solutions, and also to successfully facilitate onboarding people at your company. So if a new employee joins the company, then you can accelerate their onboarding experience, getting them faster on the same page as everyone else. These are the main benefits of the lab. But there are some collateral benefits that I'd like to mention. So hopefully after this lab, you'll be better equipped, more experienced to put together an internal Pi training solution. But at the same time, you can use the same principles that I'll be going over for other internal training within your business with other business units such as marketing, sales, finance, and others. And also, for your own customers, you'll be able to design and develop better education options. And for your customers, that means increased retention, higher renewal rates, and better use of your product or service. So hopefully, by the end of the lab, you'll have achieved some of the outcomes listed here. But overall, I think this lab is an introduction to the subject of instructional design, and we'll go through what instructional design is, if you're unfamiliar with the term, in a lot more detail during the lab. Also, at the end of the workbook provided, you can find a glossary of terms that I will be using. You can use that glossary as a reference point at any moment. The main idea of this lab is that instructional design, in other words, teaching and training people, is a designed activity. It's something which is done on purpose by bringing together different types of elements by following a process. We'll be going over some concepts as a high-level introduction to this topic, as I've understood them through my experience as an instructional designer for more than 10 years. By the end of the lab, you'll have an understanding of the type of questions you need to ask yourself when putting together a training offering and becoming more familiar with the learning process in general. This includes reflecting on your own learning processes, what helps you learn better, and how to use certain principles and best practices to ensure that your training offering is effective and efficient. I would also like you to reflect on the specific complexities of your own business environment and learning context, and how that can be utilized, or how barriers may be overcome to create more appropriate training. I would also like to show you examples of paths through the Pi system learning content that you can then utilize to put together your own learning material based on the organization roles involved in the Pi system and the learning needs of those individuals and the overall goals that you are trying to achieve. Overall, if I was going to leave you with only one key idea today, is to try and shift your viewpoint to identify any challenges you might see with yourself or your colleagues or with the business needs in general as learning gaps, something that can be overcome with education and with the sharing of information. Hopefully, by the end of the lab, you'll be able to identify the training needs of your colleagues and provide appropriate solutions. Like I said, this is just an introduction to the topic of instructional design, and at the end of the workbook provided, you can find many more resources that you can use to enhance your understanding. In the activities that follow, we ask you to share with other participants some information about yourself, such as your industry, company, and role within that company.